Live from the home of Al Capone, Michael Jordan, and Deep Dish Pizza. Giving it to you straight from the horse's mouth. Unfiltered and restoring hope to the podcast universe. Gary Franchi.
Yo, 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 that's my name, Gary Franchi. I'm sitting here with my beloved bride, Angie Franchi. Hi, baby.
Hi, Gary. Hi, everybody.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well. It's been a crazy week, but
Holy
I think
cow.
it's gotten better.
Yeah. Crazy week is an understatement.
Yeah.
Trying to keep all the kids in check and getting them back on track after the spring break and the e-learning and quarantining and watching the news headlines.
Yeah, it's a lot of new things, a lot of new discoveries about myself and you in Quarantineville.
It's like a psychological thriller every day.
Oh, thanks.
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about life. I'm talking about the
Well,
headlines.
after this week, I'm pretty sure I thought you were talking about me.
Oh, well, you know, as long as the knives don't come out, I'm good.
No knives.
Oh, baby. It's 100 days since
And it's Good Friday.
100 days since what? This whole thing started?
It has begun, yes.
And it is the 11th episode of the G-Cast.
Yes.
And it's also Good Friday, you mentioned that. And it's Hawaiian Shirt Day.
You declared today Hawaiian Shirt Day. You're like, that's it. I'm pulling it out.
I'm pulling out the Hawaiian shirt. I need to be on a beach somewhere.
Yeah. It represents how you're feeling right now, for sure.
For real. On the real. Oh, my goodness. Franklin's Finest Coffee, our sponsor. Wake up with G-Cast. If you haven't got any of that yet, the finest survival coffee, 1 year supply. It's like $97. So make sure you get that.
You don't want to be without coffee.
Yes, you are a coffee junkie.
I am. I enjoy my cup. Mm-hmm. I've totally gotten into a whole new rhythm of making coffee right now since I'm not going through drive-thrus or anything like that right now.
When you made your own whipped cream yesterday, that was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Add a little sin.
What's that?
Cinnamon.
Oh, cinnamon. Little sin. Little twin.
That's totally where I came up
Yeah,
with
that's where I felt you were going there. We got a great guest today. I'm really excited. Dr. Shannon Kroner is going to be joining us, and we're going to talk about some really important topics.
Yeah, I finally get to meet her, which is cool. Even though it's not, directly meeting her in studio, but I get to see her. She gets to see me. I've heard a lot about her.
What's funny is this episode wasn't even supposed to happen. We were supposed to be in Washington, D.C. today.
Yeah.
We were supposed to go to the Easter egg roll, and we were going to participate in all the festivities of the White House, and we got a package in the mail. I should just show it real quick here. Yeah. This is really cool. This is what they sent us. It's a 2020 Easter egg collection from the White House designed by Melania Trump. Little wooden Easter eggs. And they're so beautiful. They got President Trump's signature on them, and the White House and the White House seal. They're really, really beautiful.
Read the back of the box.
Can you see it? Here, take a look at that. The
it
back
there?
of the box says, the first annual White House Easter egg roll was held April 22nd, 1878, after President Rutherford B. Hayes agreed to open the grounds on Easter Monday to children who wanted to roll Easter eggs. And it's been going on for like 165 years. And this is the first time it's ever been canceled.
Of course, since we're going.
Yeah, since we're going.
we were planning on going.
Get those Franchies. Launch the virus. We don't want them at the White House.
But that was lovely. We got that beautiful letter from the Historical Society.
Yeah.
Do you remember? We received it, and I'm like, wait a minute.
Like,
this
this
can't
a
be
joke?
real. This is like...
Is this a joke? Are we going to the White House?
We had to research it a little bit.
Yeah. So, and then we bought the plane tickets, and we were going to stay at the hotel, the nice place across from the White House. I had this whole vision of us, like, in our Easter best, walking over to the White House.
We had plans to meet Cindy and Chad, close friends of ours.
Yeah.
Who also, it's Cindy's birthday today.
It is Cindy's birthday. Happy birthday, Cindy.
Happy birthday, Cindy. I know you're watching.
Right on. So we got some really big topics we're going to hit today. Speaking of, like, the psychological warfare that's going on in everyone's mind, we're going to talk to Dr. Kroner about what's, like, our mental health is very important right now.
Got to check in.
We got to check in with the mental health and figure out what's going on, and I guess just try to find a balance with everything.
Balance is good right now. And to let everyone know, we're all in this together. I mean, what you're feeling, most likely I am feeling.
Yeah.
We're dealing with this. This is new. This is something never ever felt before, right?
No, this is new territory in America. New territory for sure. And I think we're also going to talk about religious freedom. Religious freedom, what that means for your body. I mean, just yesterday, my governor here, Governor Pritzker, insinuated that they're going to cancel all the parties. All summer festivals will be canceled unless there's a vaccine. So my question is, okay, are you going to require this vaccine? Is this a mandatory vaccine?
Right, exactly. What did he mean by that?
No, you can be pro-vaccine, you can be against vaccines, whatever. The fact of the matter is we have free will and we should be given a choice. If people want to take it, let them take it. If people don't, let them not. So we're going to talk about some of those things today. And when are we bringing in the guest? Are we bringing her in now? Is she ready to join us? All right, let's bring in.
All right,
Dr. Shannon Kroner. Welcome to the GCast.
Hi, guys.
hi Shannon, welcome.
It is great to see you again. And are we going to put her on the wall too? I'm not sure if we're going to do that or not. But so, Doctor, you have a doctorate degree in clinical psychology, a master's degree in special education. You're working with children with developmental disabilities, learning disorders. You've been doing that since '01. And you're actively fighting for parents' rights against restrictive legislation in California since 2015. And we've seen similar legislation now launched here in Illinois. Now, you were following the passing of SB 276 in California. You decided it was time to fight for freedom on a global level. And you have a nonprofit organization called Freedom of Religion United Solutions. The acronym is For Us. Doctor, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me on today.
So we met at CPAC, and it was such an interesting moment when we met that my wife was texting me. There was new legislation that was being introduced in Illinois.
It was incredible timing that you two should meet, and then the discussions we were having here in Illinois regarding mandatory vaccines being introduced here.
Well, I think it was the removal of religious exemption. I think, is that what it was?
Yes, that's what it was.
And that's exactly what Dr. Shannon is all about, is addressing those points. So I was there, and my friend Luke Rutkowski, he texted me. He's like, "Hey man, we're over at the Trump. We're having some dinner over here in D.C." And I went up and met him, and that's when he was sitting with 4 beautiful women. I'm like, "Oh my goodness, Luke, you're hanging out tonight, aren't you?" And I got lucky enough to sit down at the table, and we started talking, and it was just like amazing to hear exactly what they were talking about. Shannon, what were you talking about?
So I was actually in DC because my organization, For Us, had a letter initiative that we were collaborating with Conscience Coalition and First Freedoms to get an executive order or some other kind of legal means passed to protect the religious freedom of vaccine choice. So to protect religious exemptions. And at the beginning of February, we launched this letter initiative, and that was the last weekend that we had to collect signatures before it was going to be presented at the International Religious Freedom Roundtable. And we also had some meetings following in early March back in DC to present this letter. And within a month, we got about 40,000 signatures. And some of those signatures were from priests, pastors, rabbis, MDs, PhDs, first responders, nurses. We even had someone from the Department of Defense sign, someone from the CDC signed. And it was just a letter initiative to really kind of protect religious exemptions for vaccine choice.
Angie, what are your thoughts on that?
The fact that you got that many people and that array of different people that you got CDC, rabbis, it's so powerful to send that message like, hey, not everybody's on board at the CDC, which to me translates to a mom like, look, you don't have to take what they're saying. You can think outside of the box on this and not feel bad and not be attacked,
Well, it comes down to choice.
Yeah, it was really amazing to see how many people in such a short amount of time signed on. And we had people from like the New York Police Department sign, and people from different school, departments and stuff. It was quite amazing. And so that's why I was in DC, and I met Gary and kind of went from there.
Yeah, it was really a remarkable moment. And we were also supposed to have you here in studio a couple weeks ago, but this whole coronavirus thing just threw everybody for a curve.
Yeah. It was the week that they had declared it to be a pandemic here in the United States. It was March 11th. I think that was the week
They
of March
finally
11th.
declared it.
And Dr. Shannon Kroner was supposed to join us here.
Yeah. Wow.
And life has changed for us and so many. And we're going to be talking about that as well. The psychological effects of all this.
The psychological toll on families and children, religious leaders. We had a conversation last night that we just went into so many different topics. I mean, talking about our kids are out of whack right now because they have no schedule, and we're trying to arrange this schedule, and they're used to going to school. And what does that have? What kind of effect does that have on kids long term, Shannon?
Right now,
Go ahead.
Okay. So right now, the mental health, there's already a mental health crisis in America. And so many people are already on antidepressants and anti-anxiety medication, or self-medicating, or, turning to alcohol and different drugs. And that's already an issue. And then by, now locking people into their homes, people, and then putting so much fear out there, fear of germs, fear of death, this is going to just spike the depression, spike the anxiety. And children, they need schedules. Just the other day, I didn't know if it was Tuesday or Wednesday. My kids are asking me, what day is it today? Because there's no schedule. People don't have schedules right now. And I'm really concerned also about like children who are stuck at home with parents who, maybe they weren't meant to be their teacher. Kids who need school to escape from negative environments. This is just, it's a real crisis, and I'm very worried about the mental health. And then now they're even like locking down our parks and our beaches and hiking trails. So people can't even go outside and enjoy, the outdoors, nature, get their vitamin D. It's very concerning to me, the psychological health, that the impact that this is going to have on mental health.
Well, long term alone. I went out for the first time out of my neighborhood for the first time yesterday. And we took the family out, and Angie made some whipped cream and cookies, and she brought it over to her mother. And it was so bizarre because like I had these photographs that I took of everyone like leaning out the car, waving, and like Uncle Dean like waving out from the window at the top, and and Aunt Irene like waving from the door, and this like invisible fear, this paralysis of like not wanting to be near anybody. And how long is like what's going to happen to me mentally that I have to is that moving forward? Is that the new normal? Am I going to have this fear for the rest of my life? How do we shed that fear? When does that fear disappear? Is it just when that 30 days are up and okay, we're back to normal and we can shake hands again? Like I still have this almost petrifying fear that I know the Lord hasn't given us a spirit of fear, but they're certainly putting it down from the state and from Fauci and from Birx and the CDC and all these things. So I want to go deeper into this topic of some of the things, Dr. Shannon, that you can apply, help people apply, some real solutions to help us break out of these things, and what we can do to preserve our mental health, because this is a very important topic. And we're going to come back on the other side with these solutions for everyone listening on the 11th episode of the G-Cast. I'm Gary Franchi, and I'm with
Angie Franchi, thank you for joining us.
And Dr. Shannon Kroner on the other side.
The G-Cast will be right back after this short break from our sponsors.
Yeah, ask them.
And the G-Cast After Hours is back.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Angie Franchi. I'm here with my husband, Gary Franchi. And we are joined by Dr. Shannon Kroner. Thank you for joining us back. Dr. Kroner, we brought up Fauci, and we were talking about life getting back to normal. And based on him, he's been talking about vaccines and until we have this vaccine, and he's given us this time frame of 18 months. In your opinion of Fauci, saying that life can't go back to normal until we have a vaccine, so far the timeline on a vaccine, like I said, is 18 months away from now, his estimate. What is your opinion regarding the rush to make this vaccine?
I mean, that's very concerning to me. I don't think that any vaccine should be rushed, especially they're not doing the proper trials. And, I believe that there really is not a safe vaccine because there are so many injuries and deaths. And it's right there on the vaccine insert, on the package insert. It says, it could cause injury, could cause death. So to rush a vaccine like that, and then say we're not going to go back to normal until everyone gets it. What about people who, have some kind of autoimmune disease or someone with cancer? What happens to them when, this vaccine that's been rushed through, fast track vaccine is then mandated? What happens to the people who physically really can't get a vaccine? And then what about, for religious reasons. The vaccines that they're rushing through right now are actually 4 of the ones that are being made are using aborted fetal DNA. And so, for instance, the Johnson and Johnson vaccine is actually using a process that they use. It's human aborted fetal DNA from an 18-week fetus from the retinal tissue.
Ugh.
So, there's a huge issue with that, especially among the Christian and Catholic community who, they do not believe in abortions. And I know, President Trump, he actually created an executive order recently that banned all use of fetal, science, using fetal DNA and fetuses for science. And so right now the House Democrats are pushing for him to lift that ban so that they could make these vaccines and allow for the use of aborted fetuses for testing and science.
So they take the DNA of the fetus and then they culture the vaccine somehow with that, and then they want to inject it into your body. So you're literally injecting the DNA of an aborted fetus into your body? Like there's like an actual DNA strand that's going into your body of an aborted fetus? Is that,
yeah, that's true. There's been there's an Italian research company that has actually looked at vaccines for the transfer of DNA into someone who's receiving a vaccine that's made with aborted fetal tissue. And yes, so the whole DNA, all the chromosomes are actually being transferred into a little baby once that they receive. There's lots of vaccines that are actually made with human aborted fetal DNA.
And that DNA, can it get into your DNA? Can it latch on or something? Or I don't know. Does that happen?
Well, there is a lot of talk about why, for instance, there's so many gender issues today. Because, when you're injecting the male DNA through a vaccine into, for instance, a female baby, and there's so many different gender confusion issues going on these days that, there is some research looking into if the gender confusion is actually coming from the injecting of the opposite sex DNA.
Whoa. That's crazy. Oh my goodness. I never thought about that. That's wild stuff. Yeah, because it's all over right now. Everyone's like, there's like 25 different genders. And no, but it could be caused by the injection of the DNA through vaccines. That's insane. That's terrifying, actually. Wow. So going back to Dr. Fauci, he wants 18 months, though? Are we going to have to wait out 18 months? Is this going to go on that long? What does that mean? Why does he say 18 months? Is that 18 months for the trial to execute the vaccine? What about hydroxychloroquine?
They've already started trials. So they've already started to inject, human subjects in Washington State. And, they're starting these trials already. It's very concerning because how are they already starting human trials of a vaccine that's just being looked at? This is all very new. COVID-19 it's just a couple months old now. So how do they already have a vaccine that they're testing on people? That's concerning in itself.
Well, a lot of people believe that it was here sooner, a lot sooner than we believe. It started in November, and you had November and December before they actually shut down any flights. So there's very strong possibility that COVID-19 got here before that.
Right. You hear so many stories amongst friends or family members who say, I had this terrible cold, flu-like during.
Even some of, your niece and her husband and their child all had this insane pneumonia.
Yeah. Shortness
of breath, very similar symptoms.
But they tested negative for the flu. It wasn't the flu.
maybe they go back now and get tested and see if
Oh,
they
they
have the
do.
antibodies.
They do want to do that test for sure.
I bet you they did have it. That was over. We missed a holiday with them, a birthday with them, I believe, because of that reason.
Mm-hmm.
Unreal. What about you mentioned about if there's a good vaccine or not. Is there a safe one? But what about vaccines like for polio? There have been good vaccines throughout history.
So, I mean, I don't think that there's ever been actually a safe vaccine because, for instance, when the polio vaccine came out, your viewers can look up something called the Cutter incident. And what happened is that the first laboratory to create the polio vaccine was something like Cutter Laboratories. And then what happened is they injected like 200,000 children. And of the 200,000 children, they then created 40,000 cases of polio. So they actually gave 40,000 children polio through the vaccine. 10 children died. There was something like 200 children were left with paralysis. So, everybody says, oh, well, what about polio? It saved so many people and stuff. There's a lot of, problems where the polio vaccine actually caused polio. And then not only that, but, people say how, polio, it was this amazing, the polio vaccine was this amazing vaccine. But the same year that the polio vaccine was introduced, they also changed the criteria of the diagnosing of polio. So before the vaccine, a lot of people, like everybody who had any kind of paralysis or, so like anybody who had paralysis were being diagnosed as having polio. Then that same year that the polio vaccine was introduced, the people who actually got something called Coxsackie disease and there was one other thing that people got that looked very similar to polio, aseptic meningitis. And so what happened is when they changed the criteria, then less people were being diagnosed with polio. And so it just was like, oh, coincidentally, all these people are now like not being diagnosed with polio, and we have this vaccine. So the vaccine is saving all these people from getting polio, when really they were just misdiagnosing it prior to the vaccine.
And then they give the vaccine the credit they give it the win, and everyone's happy. They walk away, and now everyone's getting polio vaccines. Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Wow.
You mentioned the tobacco company earlier that is in a race right now that we're finding out to produce a vaccine. They say that they could have 1 million to 3 million doses of this vaccine per week beginning in June. What is that?
In June?
What are your thoughts about that?
In June?
In
1
June.
million doses by June?
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
I think it's really concerning in itself that a tobacco company we've seen the history of tobacco, right? They used to say tobacco is safe. They used to say pregnant women could smoke cigarettes.
Right.
And then, down the line, we find out, oops, tobacco smoking actually causes cancer. So now we've got Philip Morris and the British American Tobacco Company, which are like the two biggest tobacco companies in the world, are now trying to produce a vaccine for COVID-19. That in itself should be really concerning to people. And then my question is, so will there be nicotine in this vaccine? So we're going to get everybody, addicted to nicotine now if they, receive the tobacco-based COVID-19 vaccine? That should really raise some eyebrows.
Okay, a tobacco company. I don't understand why a tobacco company would be even touching vaccines. Is this sort of the retooling thing that the president's saying, okay, Ford's going to go out and start making ventilators now, and now the tobacco companies are going to go out and start making vaccines? I don't know. It seems just really bizarre.
It's very concerning to me that a tobacco company is making vaccines. The fact that people are relying on Johnson & Johnson to make a vaccine. Johnson & Johnson has a huge history of their products causing cancer. So here we've got two big organizations, like big companies that have led to numerous cancer, incidences, and now they're the ones in charge of making vaccines to save everybody.
That's horrifying. Absurd. Who's going to step up for that vaccine? Yes, please give me that. Let me get that from you because I trust you guys so much. No, that doesn't make sense at all to me. Isn't that crazy?
I think it's ridiculous. But what about how are they going to get 1 million to 3 million doses of the vaccine? Okay, they could have 1 million to 3 million doses of the vaccine per week beginning in June, but the whole Fauci was saying 18 months. That's a very different timeline coming out of the tobacco company than what Fauci's saying. Those two don't line up with me.
His timelines don't add up.
It's all very alarming. And I know people that really want to get back to regular life. People are really tired of being stuck inside. And I worry that people will run out and get the vaccine in order to get back to work without really thinking twice. But what I've seen in the past is that usually when you force someone to do something, they usually tend to go the opposite direction. So I really believe that if there's going to be a push for mandated vaccines on this, that more and more people are going to wake up. The people who have always sat on the fence about maybe like not doing the flu shot, and maybe they get their kids all their vaccines, but when it comes time to the flu shot, people say like, no, I'm not going to do the flu shot. Then those people who sit on the fence, they are going to open their eyes to this because nobody likes to be forced to do anything.
Yeah, it's like when our kids are at bedtime. they bounce and they run the other direction. But we're going to talk about kids coming up in the next break. But before we do that, the French doctors now, big uproar, wanting to test the vaccines in people in Africa. What's your stance on that, real quick?
So that's really concerning to me. There were 2 French doctors who recently said that because the incidence of COVID-19 is so low in Africa, that they're going to start testing Africans. Well, I just found out yesterday, I was sent a whole bunch of information about how they've already started to test the COVID vaccine on Africans. And within a matter of moments, like 7 children died in Senegal. And so that's seriously concerning. And there are a lot of videos online. If you actually do like hashtag Africans are not lab rats on Twitter, you will see tons of Africans talking about how these French doctors want to test vaccines, about how they've already started to test these vaccines on children, and these children deaths that I guess recently happened. It's very concerning.
Yeah,
I don't think anyone should be lab rats. None of us should be lab rats. And that's really kind of what the vaccine industry is it makes all of us lab rats because the science is just not clear, and the science is it's not good science.
Especially when it's being rushed like this right now. That is terrifying.
Exactly.
Dr. Kroner, you brought up a lot of interesting facts here, and we got to take a quick break for our sponsors. And of course, wake up with GCAS, get your survival coffee now. $97. So we're going to go ahead and take a quick break. We're going to come back on the other side. We're going to talk about the psychological effects that we talked about a little bit earlier. We're going to go deeper into that topic and understand some of those solutions that families can do to keep their keep their wits about them during this pandemic as we're all sheltering in place. We'll be right back on the flip side. You are listening to the GCast with Gary Franchi and
Angie Franchi.
We'll be right back.
We've gotta pay a few bills over here, so sit tight, and the GCast will return in a few moments. to return to the G-Cast with your host, Gary Franchi.
I promise that I will get that changed, Angie. I will.
Aww.
I promise. I do. So we're back.
He's talking about adding my name to the beginning.
Yeah, we need to do that, but
we just weren't sure. We weren't sure if I was going to be joining because we had to find help with the kids and.
Oh, there's certainly a dance that has to go on to make this show possible,
it's
especially
a party.
with the little kids and juggling the children. But we're back with our guest, Dr. Shannon Kroner, and she's an expert in juggling children. She has a doctorate degree in clinical psychology and master's degree in special education. So to that point, as a doctorate in psychology, what is your feeling, Shannon, regarding the psychological impact that shelter in place will have on people, have on children? I know we touched on this a little bit, but let's dive deeper. For schools being closed, sports being closed, recreational activities being closed. I did a report yesterday of a father who was arrested in front of her 6-year-old daughter.
Terrible.
The mother and father and the daughter were just playing catch in the park. They were not violating any rules. The cops came up with no mask, no gloves, and they arrested the father in front of the child, threw him in the back of the squad car, let him sit there for 10 minutes, and then let him out. The city's come out and said,
terrible.
we're sorry, we didn't mean to do it. A city
Talk
councilman,
about psychological damage being done.
a city councilman caught it all on video, it went viral. Horrible. Talk to us about the psychological impact that we're seeing here with families and children.
I mean, it really worries me. I feel like this is going to have a deep psychological impact on children who are now out of school. Maybe their parents are not equipped to be their teacher. Not only that, but their parents are now out of work, out of income. And so the parents are stressed and now the children are forced to stay home. A lot of kids go to school to socialize, be with their friends. They have this regular schedule and everything is kind of just thrown up into, this one. We don't even have days of the week anymore is what it feels like. And so, it's really impacting kids. I know I have a child who he's about to turn 10 in a few weeks, and he is just really upset about not being able to celebrate his birthday with his friends. And I've been trying to kind of rack my brain on how can we do a birthday party for him, whether it's going to be through Zoom or, people are suggesting a parade of cars to go down my street. And, he doesn't really want a parade of cars to people waving at him. So, this is really, it's going to affect children and then, and their parents. And then I think about some kids are stuck at home now with, neglectful parents, abusive parents, alcoholic parents. Are they getting now further abused? And further neglected? Are they being fed? Or, what is going on with those children from inner city children who maybe don't have the best life and actually go to school to escape? Now they're all stuck at home. This is really, and it's sad to me that it's not really being addressed. I feel like the mental health of all of this, the psychological impact that all of this is going to have on people, it's really not being addressed in the media. And it should be, because so many kids right now are actually on medication. And then what about the children who are now they're not going to be caught up in school? And so then what happens when they are then behind in their grade level next year? Are those kids going to be then diagnosed with ADHD and put on further medication because they're not paying attention, because they can't follow the classwork of the next grade? Or are children going to be held back a year because they're, not at grade level anymore? So, and a child who's held back because they're not making the grades, that's concerning in itself. So, the longer that this goes on, the worse of a mental impact it's going to have on people. And that's very concerning to me.
What about the, for example, graduations, proms, these types of, milestone moments for teenagers in high school? What are the lasting effects of that? Are they just going to push these things back?
I mean, I've already been told that my kid's school is not going to continue on this year. So I am now their teacher throughout the rest of the school year. And I really am not sure how they're going to handle moving kids into the next grade level. Are all the kids going to be tested in June? And, I feel bad for kids who, let's say they are 12th graders. They've been looking their whole life towards prom and graduation, or they've worked so hard to graduate and then get into a college, and now everything is on hold. It's upsetting to a lot of people, and it's very concerning.
There's definitely going to be long-term effects of this. And you brought up an important fact here. I do not see enough talk about this. In fact, the one time I heard anything being discussed about the psychological effects of this is during a briefing when President Trump said, hey, this is very depressing for people. There's going to be suicides. There's going to be depression. And I remember the journalist was like shocked at him saying something like that. He's like, what do you mean? Huh? What is this? What are you suggesting here? And now we've got Easter coming up. People not being able to go to church, not being able to be with their pastor on such an important day with their church community. That's another outlet to deal with this depression, to deal with what we're seeing right now.
The spiritual aspect of this is very. You need to have faith. You need to be able to congregate. I guess you just really got, if you're going to survive this thing, you got to bury your head in the Word of God and just say, okay, find your peace there. But you have all these religious groups now who they're not having Easter. They're not having Easter service. I mean, think about what this means. Now, some churches are moving forward anyway.
Dr. Kroner, as the executive director of the nonprofit Freedom of Religion, United Solutions, how are some of the pastors, priests that you work with reacting to not being able to attend church or give someone their Easter Sunday service? How is this? What kind of feedback are you receiving?
I mean, well, like right now, for instance, it's Passover for the Jewish religion, and then Easter's coming up, and so a lot of Jews are not able to have their big Passover dinners, and so some people are doing Zoom dinners. I mean, really, that's not, there's no true socialization right there. And then the pastors that I've spoken to, some of them are, doing their own thing. They just, if the church is closed, the church is closed, but they're going to still congregate in like parks. One of the board members with my organization is Pastor Robert Schuler, and some people may recognize his name. His father was very famous pastor, Robert Schuler, who used to have a TV show every Sunday morning.
I used to watch it with my mother. I used to watch it with my mother every Sunday, when I was a kid.
I used to watch that as a child too. So Robert Schuler Jr. is on my board. And so he's been doing like a drive-in sermons. And so I believe he's like on a balcony and preaching and doing his
great.
thing, and people are pulling up and parking.
No way.
So he's doing that. And then I spoke with another pastor yesterday who he's still moving forward with Easter, and he's going to be doing it in a park. And he has invited anyone. He's in Hartford, Connecticut, and said, come. And I had asked, I said, are you, suggesting that everybody wear a mask and stay 6 feet apart? And, he just said, he's like, come to the park. I'm going to be doing services there, and we're doing Easter regardless if church is closed, because people right now, they really do need God. They do need faith. This is a really scary time, and we're just being like inundated with death tolls and germ phobia and stuff. And so people really need to turn to God and turn to faith and trust what's going on in the bigger picture and know that this is not forever. We will get through this, and a lot of it, I believe, is really being made up by the media. Obviously, COVID-19 is very real. I actually know several people who have been hospitalized with it. There's actually a couple people with my organization who've been diagnosed with COVID-19. And so it is very real, but I feel like the media is doing a very good job at inflating the fear. And not only is the media doing that, but then every commercial now is about coronavirus. And so, you don't even have to watch the news to still be like inundated with this, fear of germs.
Yeah,
So
Shannon,
I really think
Shannon, my producer Brian had mentioned that to us. He's like, if you turn on the TV right now, every single commercial, whether it's Burger King, whether it's Prudential or a Ford commercial, every commercial they're leading with, the pandemic, and we're all going to get through this together. And it's sort of it's a constant reinforcement that we're in a state of panic and a state of fear, and that adds to the psychological effect. It really does, because it puts
you. People need to turn off the TV. People need to really turn off the TV and get outside and get vitamin D and be with their, immediate family, say hi to their neighbors, take walks, get sunshine, garden, work out. I've been bike riding more than ever, it kind of almost feels like the 80s again. I see so many kids like playing ball and bike riding and stuff like that. So we need to, I really believe that we need to kind of change our mindset here and just allow this break to be like a break from life. We all could use a breather from hard work, and just, take a breather, get outside, play ball with your kids, garden, exercise, do things like that to really kind of keep your mentality and like get away from the fear. We need to turn off our TVs.
That is a healthy and positive way to move forward this day forward. Absolutely. Turn off the TVs. I mean, don't hijack your day by starting off by looking at the headlines or watching the news from the get-go.
That's my job. That's what I do every day.
Job.
I can't. That's what I have to do. I have to stay on top of the news, and it's like I wake up, pick up my phone, run through the headlines, and I'm like, oh man, I'm already dragged down through the mud. Mm-hmm. So when you wake up, and you wake up,
I
and
have
you take
to
the
switch
kids,
gears. I can't, begin my day
and
like
you're like,
that.
I can't hear that right now. I can't hear
I'm
that
like,
right now. Yeah.
Wait. I'm like, we'll discuss that. I promise you, we'll get to it, because, like you said, we have to take this time and take advantage of it. This is family time. This is really checking in with yourself and your loved ones, and stepping away from what the media is doing right now and forcing that fear. And we have every right to question what they're saying. And the numbers keep changing. Ron Paul, I read this great article where Ron Paul's calling Fauci a fraud. He's like, either people need to fire him literally, or the people just need to fire him and cancel him out.
Well, Dr. Shiva said yesterday that he should be indicted. I mean, think about Dr. Shannon. I know we didn't. I don't think we were going to get into this topic, but I did want to ask you, since we're here, about the numbers that they projected initially. Millions and millions of people would be dead. 2 million people dead. And now those numbers have been constantly revised over and over and over again, and those numbers have come down. Now, I asked Dr. Fauci the same question yesterday. Is this because they were so overblown, they were so incorrect, or is it because their mitigation strategies are actually working?
That's a good question.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they were looking at these graphs and they put in their numbers and they projected this to be huge. And yeah, I mean, I think maybe it is spreading easily, but I just read a report about how, a lot of people are getting it. They take the test and they're positive, but they get past it. Another thing that's happening is the media is not sharing the recovery stories. So there are a lot more recovery stories than there are of death stories. So, we need to know that there are people who are getting it. They're getting mild cases. Some are getting severe cases and they're recovering. Even, you had mentioned Ron Paul. Rand Paul actually was diagnosed with it and he recovered. And let's remember, like, he actually had a lung injury several years ago. So, someone with a lung injury such as Rand Paul, who then now recovered and now he's assisting in hospitals. So, people are recovering. The people that I know about 5 people who have actually been diagnosed with COVID-19 and they've recovered or they're in the process of recovering. And yeah, it sucks and they feel crappy, but they're getting through it, and we just have to keep taking a lot of vitamin C. They're using vitamin C to recover a lot of people. That's not really being pushed the way that it should be. Vitamin C, zinc. Trump mentioned zinc just the other day in a press conference. People need to be to get rid of this fear, make yourself healthy. It all starts with your health, mental health, physical health, internal health. We need to be taking vitamin C. We need to be taking zinc, vitamin D, drinking a lot of water, getting rest, sleeping. Use this time to sleep, sleep in, because you don't have to be at work now in the morning for most people. So really just, and get outside and do things that give you a sense of accomplishment. If you have always been wanting to reorganize your closet or clean out your garage, now is the perfect time to do that. And then you'll feel good when you're done.
Keeping busy, very important thing to do, because if you have a lot of idle time, your brain's just going to start wandering off to dark places, because the headlines and the television and the commercials are pretty scary. You talk about some of the simple supplements like vitamin D, vitamin C. I've been taking, I believe it's called luteolin. I think it's pronounced luteolin.
All this stuff just keeps coming in the house, Gary. I'm like, I don't know what to take first. I don't know. I'm pretty sure I'm feeling good. I'm healthy. I'm good. I've taken a ton of it.
I'm taking zinc. I'm taking all kinds of different supplements more so than usual, because I do want to make sure I'm boosting my immune system.
Absolutely. I mean, whether it's this that we're going to be dealing with or whatever comes in the future, hopefully not, but it begins with self-care. You have to mentally take care of yourself and look out for your loved ones. We have such a big responsibility here. It's like you have to turn it off and you have to take care of yourself so you can take care of your family. And you mentioned you have little ones, Dr. Kroner.
Yeah. I've got 2 boys, and now I'm their teacher, which I'm actually enjoying. We're doing a lot of art projects and painting, and I taught my mom how to do Zoom, so now we're doing painting on Zoom with my mom and me and the kids, and so it's keeping busy like that.
I love that. I love that so much. My kids we have something similar. It's a nucleus where you can directly call into their house and it's video right away. And my kids are checking in with their grandparents, just saying hi real quick. And they're more apt to do so now because they feel the need. They feel the separation. If anything, this has really taught our family a lesson about reaching out to one another.
What was hard for me yesterday was going to your mother's house, Angie, and going to your sister's house, and their kids, cousin, was there, and they wanted to get out of the car. They wanted to run around, and she wanted to come out. It's like, no, we can't. Trying to keep the kids separated is so painful because you feel like you're oh, you're sick. Get away. But you don't know if they're sick.
No, yeah.
There's this weird, the social distancing thing is so weird.
But they were so desperate to see one another. It's so cute because normally they see each other, they kind of elbow each other, but they're screaming "I love yous" from the car and from the window.
Shannon, do you have any final thoughts before we go?
Yeah, I just think that people really need to kind of keep a positive mindset in this and just know that we are going to get through this and don't You got to turn off the news, turn off the TV, be with your family, get things done that you've, been putting off forever, and keep yourself busy. And we'll come out of this. We'll be okay.
Yes, we will.
We will. And your website is forunitedsolutions.org. And we're going to put all the links down in the description below so everybody can go and follow your work and keep up with you there. Of course, keeping up with your organization For Us and how they can participate and strengthen religious freedoms in America so that we can all have the choices that and the free will that the Lord has given us. So, Shannon, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to be back on the flip side of this break. We're going to talk about some more news. We're going to ask some questions. We're going to talk about some endorsements and a lot more headlines ahead with my bride, Angie Franchi, on the GCast.
Don't go anywhere. Gary Franchi will be right back after a word from our sponsors. And now, back to the GCast.
Welcome back to the GCast.
Welcome back, everybody.
And we are going to talk about some things today. Lady Gaga, what is she doing? What else? What is up with that?
Oh, gosh, that was like shocking to see that endorsement this week. By far, that was the most shocking thing I saw this week was Lady Gaga with Biden and the way that they were positioned in this picture. Did you see it?
No, I haven't. I'm trying to find it right now.
Okay, if you haven't seen it, pull it up now, people.
Wow. Okay, let's see if we can get it up here.
So Gaga's seated next to him. He's in a suit. She's in a white suit. I think it's a white suit. Anyway, it's their positioning where she's got two hands on him, like gripping him, and just like.
I'm trying to find it right now. Oh.
Right.
Yeah. Oh like, goodness. Oh, that's creepy.
Like, I'm going to champion for this guy by groping him, too.
That's some creepy stuff
That's what
here.
I took away from that.
Okay, brace yourself, folks. You're going to pull it up on the NDI here, Brian, in just a second. Let me get it ready. Okay. Okay, so this is a headline, ABC News. Joe Biden and Lady Gaga team up for a sexual assault PSA.
Ew.
Meanwhile, Biden actually has new sexual assault charges on him. A woman has just come forward.
Horrible.
This is the picture. Look at that picture.
Yuck.
It looks like what is that? That's a very dominant sort of.
Just don't put your hands on one another. Biden already gets in trouble for that.
Yeah. I wonder if he smelled her hair before the picture.
I don't get it. And,
oh, boy. Lady Gaga debuted a PSA Wednesday with her buddy, in quotes, former Vice President Joe Biden.
She's a victim of sexual assault. Mm-hmm. So I don't understand her endorsement of him. And I know he's not been convicted of anything. It's just, I don't get it. Two wrongs don't make a right here for her. If she's not a fan of Trump, okay, but how is he any better for her to say, like, hey, I'm going to endorse this guy?
I don't understand these endorsements to begin with. Like, okay, Madonna's going to come out and Lady Gaga. Like, what? Do I care? What is it? Is that really going to sway my vote?
I don't.
Oh, wait a minute. Lady Gaga just endorsed Biden. Man, that made my decision easy. Like, really? I mean, are the American people, like, do they really think that less of them? That low of them?
Especially in the time right now, Americans don't care about celebrities because right now they are so unimportant because we're all going through this right now and they become completely, they don't exist for any of us right now. They're not working. They're not doing anything. They're in the same boat as us.
Did you tell me the other day that there's like celebrities out there like doing selfie videos like, this is my time right now. I'm going to live
They're
my
so
best
disconnected.
life. I'm living my best life out there because this is the pandemic and this is how we're living. And it's me time now. Right?
Yeah.
Like no one cares.
There's a better way to approach stuff like that. Like, it is a good time to do, to take care of yourself. But for a celebrity to come out and try to be relative or relatable, nah, it's not happening. I don't feel it. I don't feel this endorsement is genuine. I don't like it. I don't like that picture. I don't know who suggested them to do this.
I just think celebrity endorsements are ridiculous. It's one thing if you have a political endorsement because there's political weight. There's people who have a position on something, and you can see the alignment of the ideals. But these celebrities are so out of touch with reality, and I think that they're just trying to use the glitz and the glamour and the spotlight to shine it out there so that all the people who are Lady Gaga fans, what do they call them? The little monsters or something like that? Or
I don't know.
Monster
like
people
that.
Or something. And then they come running. Oh, well, like, okay, looks like Joe Biden just secured the Gaga block. The Gaga voting block. It's just ridiculous.
I can't imagine that. That's like being suckered. No. There's been so many instances most recently with this guy lashing out at people. How is this guy not?
Oh, when he called the person a dog-faced pony soldier?
That, and there was the other guy, the NRA guy. Do you remember that? Where he started yelling and swearing at him.
Oh, he said you're full of the union
worker.
Right. He said he was full of SHIT.
Yeah.
Like who does it on the campaign trail?
He's aggressive. Like he's an aggressive guy to be acting like that to people who could be voting for him.
I think he's trying to play up this aggressive A-type personality to counter President Trump's alpha personality. The problem is Biden's not doing it right.
No. It's just for me as a female and just putting myself in her shoes if I was living with something that she went through and to just feel like I could support Biden, it doesn't make sense whatsoever.
Well, what about Barack Obama?
Where's he?
Where has he been? Where's Barack? The whole time, he hasn't come out and endorsed him. Was he waiting for the primary to be over so he can come out? I mean, he still hasn't even said anything. It's really strange.
He's like, Joe, we got to wait till this clears out. I don't know if I can endorse you, buddy.
Like, what does Obama know about Joe Biden? What does he know about Hunter Biden? And I think it's all too bizarre.
Yeah, not good. I don't like it.
So Biden and Gaga teaming up on a PSA to spread awareness of sexual abuse. And, of course, Biden would be the expert on that topic.
Oh, I'm still like, just, ew. I can't get that picture out of my head.
And I think this has got to be damage control, too, Angie. It's got to be damage control. First of all, there's no media covering these new assault charges. I mean, this woman went out on video. I think she told the Rolling Stone writer, I believe it was Rolling Stone, she wrote, and she gave some pretty graphic details.
I don't know anything about the details. I know of the case, but I don't know anything about what she's claiming.
Oh, yeah, it's something happened. Okay, basically, I'll gloss over some of the more graphic details. But what happened was, she was instructed. She was working in the Senate office. She was instructed to bring him a gym bag, and she brings him a gym bag to some sort of out of the way place in the Senate building, and he assaulted her right there. He had heard that she liked him or something, and he pushed her up against the wall. Went up her dress with his hands, and and that's what happened. And then she pushed him away. She was totally shocked. She's like, "What is this? This is crazy." And he said, "You're nothing to me. You're nothing. You're nobody."
Has this case gone to court? Is this like a brand new?
This just happened.
This just happened. So knowing that is out there, that it exists, why would Lady Gaga, again, someone who's been sexually assaulted, without finding out if this was fact or not regarding him, why would she go and support him?
Because they are covering for each other.
Ugh.
They have to. They don't. If this allegation was against President Trump, it'd be all over the headlines, all over the news. But it's not.
I think she could use her voice in a much more positive way.
Yeah.
Without supporting Biden.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. So, Angie.
Yes.
Here we are in the pandemic mode. And
how many days in? Is this 49 days?
I don't even know at this point.
So March 11th, today is April 9th, right? Or April 10th?
Well, today?
Yeah.
Today is the 10th. Yeah, it's the 10th.
Today's the 10th, right?
What's wild is that when we did the first show, it was we kind of made a joke about this thing, about living in the being survivors of the coronavirus. But now it's become a real serious topic.
Oh yeah, and we're going through this with you guys. It's real. We have our ups and downs. This week is definitely ending in a better state of being than it began, for sure.
Well, I want to go outside. I want to take in some fresh air. I got my Hawaiian shirt on. I got to put myself in a better mental state. And as we close out the show, looking back at some of the things that Shannon said, go back, go out, clean out your garage, do positive things, turn off the TV, keep listening to the GCast though, keep watching the Next News Network.
Yeah.
But of course, fill yourself with positive things. And this is Good Friday. This is the day that the Lord died on the cross for us. This is the day, and soon we celebrate Easter, the resurrection, and we are all going to be resurrected through this entire pandemic. Satan's not going to shut down Easter Sunday for nobody.
No,
he's not. And we're gonna push through this thing. We're gonna continue to celebrate our faith and the strength that we have as families. The families are going to come together stronger than ever.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
Think about this too. Think about this, Angie. When all the kids are home from school, you have all these sort of state apparatuses, structured pieces. They've sort of been removed from the equation at this point. You still have to go to e-learning and stuff, but the families are now closer than they ever have been. My biggest worry, though, Angie, is for people who are living in a studio apartment in the urban areas, and they can't go out of their apartment buildings. That's what
That's a whole other reality.
Yeah, that's one of my biggest concerns is for people like that can't go out. They have to stay, in a confined quarters, and that's really scary.
Gotta count our blessings and pray for those who are going through the worst times than us right now.
Yeah. Well, we're going to be continuing the Gcast week after week. I want to thank everyone for watching and sharing. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. The link is down there. There's a red button. I always talk about it. Make sure you tap that notification bell. We always read your comments. I want you guys to know that.
I love reading them.
I think
do.
we should.
I get such a there's so many times during the day where Gary and I just laugh. You guys are hysterical. Some of the things you're saying. And the lovely things that you're saying are so positive, and we need it. We need it as much as you guys enjoy leaving those comments. We love the interaction. When we can't be with the people we care about, we love being able to get some sort of feedback from you guys.
I want to do an entire segment maybe next week in reading some of the comments. We'll pull out some of the best comments from all of the shows. We'll pull out some of the funny ones and some of the other comments, positive, negative, whatever.
We are a community. Our people who are watching the podcast and leaving their comments, this is a community effort right now. This is us keeping each other going.
And we're going to continue to do that. Thanks again to everyone for tuning in and sharing and subscribing and enjoying and participating in the Gcast.
You guys rock.
This is the 11th episode on Good Friday. I'm Gary Franchi with
Angie Franchi. Happy Good Friday, everyone.
And we'll see you next week.
That's all we've got for you right now. Gary's gotta run. We thank you for tuning into our podcast. If you're hungry for more, head on over to Gary's Next News Network YouTube channel for the latest news and commentary on current events. Until next time, stay gold.